All right, I'm joined by the owner of 207 Overland, Justin Fickett. Thank you so much for joining me.
Pleasure to be here.
You're a busy guy, man. You've been all over the place. I mean, you've been all over North America lately. So thanks for finding the time.
Yeah, no problem at all.
So much to talk about, man. I've been following the Overland stuff you've been doing for a little while now. And like I said, I know you've been pretty busy. So I want to get to all that stuff. But one of the things I want to start with, because I'm kind of like new to the whole Overland thing and joining 207 Overland, I don't even know when that actually began, though. When did you start 207 Overland?
So we started doing this in this capacity about 6 years ago, 5, 6 years ago. And it has just kind of evolved and exploded in popularity ever since.
Now, so you started 207 Overland or overlanding in general, or had you been doing that for a while?
Yeah, so 207 Overland is basically just an extension, or rather me wanting to share publicly what I've been doing on my own privately for decades at this point.
Yeah.
So we started it originally here in North Maine as just kind of a local, hey, let's see how many people we can get together and see where this takes us. And very, very quickly, it just kept exploding and building and building and building. And we were offering very unique trips and things that other people just weren't doing. So I think that kind of contributed to how fast things grew, and everything just kind of exploded from there.
So were you doing overlanding before? Was overlanding always been the term for it?
No, so overlanding's kind of a new catch-all term, if you will, and people assign that word to just about anything these days. But for me, it's always been just getting in your vehicle, exploring the road less taken, getting back into the woods, mapping things out as you go, and doing so in a self-reliant, vehicle-based manner along the way.
Yeah, which is awesome. Yeah. So you decided to do 207 Overland. I guess the way I looked at it was kind of primarily based on like the Facebook group, or was it 207 Overland and then the Facebook piece came into it? Because I feel like Facebook has been a great way to connect people in 207 Overland. It seems like so much flows through the group. Like, what came first in that sense?
Yeah, so I guess from day one, we had a Facebook group. It was very much private, very much, let's just get 10, 12 people on here and see where it goes. But just like everything else, very quickly that turned into, okay, now we've got a group and we've got a page, and okay, I got to put a website out there, and it just kept building and building and building.
So right now there's the website, and you have to have a membership to be part of 207 Overland, right? So people pay like what I think is a very modest fee, but then they're part of the group, right? That's basically how it works.
Yeah, so we do things differently. Rather than, pay per trip within the state of Maine, we do kind of like it's kind of like a Jeep club would be, but it gives you access to all of our trips that we do within the state of Maine at no charge. So once you're a member, you get kind of an all-you-can-eat access to anything we do. We do have open trips as well, and events that are available for non-members. Like we just had a rally up here this past weekend, and that was open for anybody to attend. And then we did offer another branch, which I'll talk about later, but Destination Extreme, which is totally separate from 207, and that kind of pushes that foundation even further.
That's interesting. I do want to talk about Destination Extreme because I did think it was part of it. So you kind of view those as two separate things at this point, not as Destination Extreme, something that 207 Overland offers.
So it's just another thing that 207 offers, but it's kind of a natural stepping stone for people who are into the overlanding thing. So, it may be getting somebody outside of their comfort zone just to take, a couple of days in the woods here in Maine. But then after they've been doing it for a while and they become more passionate about this, they want to take that to the next step. And that involves longer trips, maybe going outside the state. And for the most part, it's international on the Destination Extreme trips. Yeah. So it's a passion, it's a lifestyle for me, and I want to share all of that with as many people as I can.
I love it. So hold that thought on Destination Extreme, because that's what I want to spend a lot of the time talking about. But as far as other benefits of joining 207 Overland, are there like group discounts for things, different equipment, like different vendors that you have connections with? Jeff, who's also been on the podcast, mutual friend of ours, part of the group, he's told me that stuff exists. I'm not super aware of it, but I figured might as well get it out there now.
Yeah, so it's a lot more than just trips. We do offer discounts for a lot of the vendors that sponsor us and we partner directly with. So we currently have a list of dozens of big name companies in the overlanding world that with your membership with 207, that gives you discounts on their products. So you can often obtain pretty substantial deals just for being a member of ours.
Yeah. And that's all listed on the website, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So website is 207overland.com.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So all right, I'll make sure I share that stuff as well. But wrapping up that part of things, like what is your mission for 207 Overland? Like what was did you have a mission statement when you started or goal for the group?
Basically, the mission is to connect people with what we're doing in the overland industry, to get people passionate about it, to get people out there and exploring, and to get them wanting to do more.
Yeah. Yeah. So like a little background on myself, like I didn't grow up doing a lot of the things that you have done, it sounds like, or overlanding in general, but it's just been like a great entry point for me to get out, like learn some new skills and meet some new people. And that whole side of the community aspect has been awesome, so it's been a fantastic group to be a part of. So let's talk about Destination Extreme, because this was something that you put in place end of last year, right? Destination Extreme, and you kind of correct me, but are a number of trips that are just more than these weekend trips in Maine. You're going all over the place, like you said, even international. So why don't you talk about what Destination Extreme is, and we'll kind of talk about how that all came to be.
Yeah, so as I talked about earlier, it's kind of that natural stepping stone, but we started it last summer with our inaugural trip, and we did that to Newfoundland. And that was just an absolutely amazing experience. We took a great group of people out there. It's a smaller group than we do with our trips sometimes in the state of Maine, just because going long distances logistically, it can be challenging with a big group of people. So we take a small group of like-minded individuals and we just go explore someplace that oftentimes they had never set foot in before. So over there was just, for me personally, and I'm sure it was the same for everyone else, but it was eye-opening. It was a totally different type of terrain, a totally different type of culture. The scenery, everything about it was just absolutely fantastic. And that's the kind of experience that I know I want to keep doing for myself personally, but I'd love to bring people along for the ride as well.
Did you know that trip was a little bit different when you did? Was it a test run for what would become Destination Extreme, or it was just a little bit more, and then you're like, well, actually, I'm onto something, and I want to roll with it a little bit?
Well, it was something that I had been doing and I wanted to do with the group for a long time anyway, but the Newfoundland trip was a pilot for that Destination Extreme branch of 207 Overland, if you will. So it was kind of like, okay, we're going to give this a shot. I'm going to plan it very well and hope for the very best. And it exceeded all of my wildest expectations. And we did another one the end of the year. We went to the Gaspé Peninsula in northern Quebec. And this year we've had a bunch of trips on the schedule as well, including some ones I just got back from and another one I'm taking just this next coming weekend.
Awesome. So I want to get to your trip, but you made a big deal of announcing what these trips were, right? But was it back in the fall? Was it November, December that, there was like a whole countdown, and, there was a YouTube video that launched, and, how many trips did Destination Extreme start with?
So we started with the one last year. It ended up being two last year. And this year, I think that we've had 7 or 8 total from beginning to end. And I hope to continue increasing that number as time goes on.
Let's talk about the one that you just came back from. What was that? I'll let you explain to people. I mean, I know what it is, but what was that trip?
Yeah, so we just got back from what we called the Epic West Adventure, and it was a 4-week adventure, basically leaving the East Coast here, going through Montana into British Columbia, Canada, over to Vancouver Island, back into British Columbia, the interior, then back up to the southern part of Alaska before the trip concluded and we came back east. And it was, you want to talk about just another epic trip. It was absolutely amazing. Just the scenery out there. Nothing that people post to YouTube or the pictures that you see online of these places can ever do any of it justice. When you're out there seeing it in person for yourself, it is just a million times different and better than what you see in the videos online. So
and you posted a pretty raw-ish type video that had a lot of just like random clips from things from your whole trip, which I'll share as well. But some of the views you had looked awesome. But yeah, you can't do that stuff justice on YouTube. I mean, I can't imagine what it was like to see it in person. So why did you want to go to Alaska? Is it just like a thing you've always, was it a thing that you like wanted to see if you could do it? Had you done it before? Like, why there?
No, so Alaska is kind of like, we're in Maine. We're in far northeastern Maine. So Alaska for the United States, that's about as far the opposite way as you could possibly get.
Mhm.
And not only that, it's just the unlimited potential to explore there is just mind-boggling. And
Mhm.
we only barely scratched the surface. We were only in the very southernmost part of the state before we had to turn around and head back east.
Mhm.
A lot of people underestimate. They're like, "Oh, let's take a trip to Alaska. I've got 2 weeks off of work." Well, okay, you're gonna drive out there, and that's gonna take you a week, and then you're gonna have to turn right back around that same day and take the week to come home. So it's a long ways out, which is unfortunate because I'd be back there tomorrow if it weren't so far away. But it is absolutely worth it, and yeah, I can't wait to get back out there again.
So, what were some of the biggest challenges on the trip out there?
As far as the planning and execution of the trip, it wasn't really much of a challenge other than, okay, you're not only planning a trip, but you're planning 4 weeks worth of itinerary and campsites every night. So trying to have all that mapped out on the back end, that was an interesting challenge. But on any kind of a long duration trip like that, you always have to worry about, is your vehicle fully maintained? Is there any surprises that are going to come up? Is your gear going to withhold that kind of mileage and abuse along the way as well? And
Mhm.
and those certainly did present some challenges. I'm very fortunate in that my vehicle itself, I had not a single hiccup the entire trip, but just about everything else I had issues with, like my trailer and my fridge and my stove and the suspension. And yeah, so it was just kind of, and my tent as well. That's a story I can get into, but we're very lucky that we work with a lot of awesome brands. And so they were able to offer immediate support and keep me going on this trip. And I couldn't do what I do without them.
So, I heard about some was it garage visits people had to make, or like was
Yeah.
it? Sounds like this is for you specifically that you had to have something
Well,
fixed.
we did have, don't get me wrong. So the total mileage for the trip was expected to be somewhere north of 10, 11,000. I did some things before and after, so it was even a little bit more for me, but we planned at around the 5,000 mile mark, a planned vehicle down day to do maintenance, oil changes, to check everything over to make sure there was no going to be, any surprises. So there was that. Nothing major there at all whatsoever, thankfully. But yeah, then I had an issue with, as I said, a tent issue, a suspension issue with the trailer, stove issue, fridge issues. So it was just one thing after another. But don't get me wrong, it still was. I wouldn't have done it any other way. It was nothing that we couldn't overcome, and nothing that caused the trip to be delayed at any point, or we can't go here because this happened. No, we pushed right through, and it was incredible.
It seems like that's inherent to overlanding. Like there's something going wrong, the group stepping up, like whether it's a weekend trip in Maine where there's something that, tree cross across the road and you guys got to figure out a way to move that, or someone gets stuck and someone's got a flat tire, like it just seems like that's part of the deal. It actually probably makes it fun to some degree, is trying to overcome that challenge and figure out how we're all going to get past it.
It definitely is. And we're very lucky that the community of people that are involved with 207, not just my trail leaders, but the people that come on these trips as well. The instant something even small, minute happens, everybody stops and they just swarm the problem, kind of figure out what we need to do to get it fixed. And then we're very quickly on our way again.
Mhm.
So no one's ever left on their own, and no problem is not able to be overcome quickly.
Yeah, totally. Now, how many people were with you on this group in this trip?
So myself and my family included, we had 7 people.
Yeah, nice. So
Yeah.
is that 3 vehicles?
So in this one, we had 3. We
Yeah.
we did originally have another one signed up, but they did have to drop out last minute, unfortunately. But it was the perfect number for a trip like this. If you had many more vehicles, we probably wouldn't have been able to fit into some of those just epic camping locations that you'll get to see online.
Yeah. And so you're staying at like public camping locations, not just like random off the side of the road type scenarios, or is there a little bit of that too?
No, so we did stay at some public camping facilities, a few along the way, just to take advantage of, like, okay, we haven't had a real shower in a week and a half, so
Mhm.
let's spend the night here. Or during a road day when we were just trying to pound the pavement miles to get out there, there might be one of those thrown in. But the rest of the time you're at backwoods, you got to overland to get to it, overland to get out.
Mhm.
style campsites. And those are those real hidden gem spots that you pick that are going to provide a certain level of scenery that you're just not going to get by pulling off and staying at a campground with a shower and
Yeah,
water and electric and all that fun stuff.
totally. All right. How about breathtaking moments? Was there anything? Was there? Hopefully, there were multiple of them. But like, what stands out for you specifically on the trip as being breathtaking moments?
Oh man, I mean every step along the way I could talk to you about, spots right on the ocean on
Mhm.
Vancouver Island to, places that looked like kind of a northern version of the Grand Canyon in British Columbia to those epic camping spots that you've seen a few, big YouTube personalities go, but it just can't do the justice in real life to when you're actually standing there. To the end of the trip, being right on a glacier in Alaska, it was just one epic spot
Do
after
you guys camp
another.
on a glacier?
Well, not on the glacier
But,
itself, but we
but
were directly overlooking the side of
yeah,
one of the largest glaciers in the state that you can actually drive to. And that was an incredible experience.
in that moment where you're like, I can't believe we did this. Like, I can't believe we drove from Maine to Alaska. Or did you ever have any of those moments? Like, we did it kind of stuff?
Yeah, so we get all the way there, and it's the last spot of the trip, and it's probably, I know it was definitely my wife's favorite, and it's right up there at the very top of the list for me as well. But yeah, it's a feeling of I can't believe we made it. This is absolutely incredible. But then at the same time, I can't believe this is the end. I just want to keep going. And also there was, okay, there's three vehicles, there's seven of us up here, and then I look to my left and there's another guy from Maine sitting up here that we had no connection with the
Like a
trip
party?
whatsoever, but he had
Yeah.
the same idea we did. So yeah, it was just an awesome experience.
How cool is that? So 4 weeks. 4 weeks is challenging though for people to be able to take that amount of time off. But it's obviously going to be people that are pretty committed to doing it. So were the other four people that were there, the other two vehicles, like some of I don't know the best word, but like the best overlanders that you know, or are they fairly new to the whole thing, or how would you like? Do you have to be this expert to be doing the destination extreme trips, or
Certainly not. I mean, you've got to have, I guess, some experience living out of your vehicle or your setup for an extended period of time, but it's nothing that you have to be a quote unquote overland expert or veteran to do. The people that came with us have been on trips with us in the past. In fact, they've both been on destination extremes with me in the past, so
yeah,
I kind of knew what to expect with them. But it's something anybody can do. Obviously, you kind of want to start small and build your way up. If it's your first time doing it, maybe a 4 week trip isn't going to be your first experience, but it's by no means something that you have to have a lifetime of experience to do before you
yeah,
do it.
yeah? How about setup wise? Tell me about your setup. Sounds like you brought a trailer, which is like a pretty helpful thing to have. What was unique about your setup, or what's special about your setup that helped with the trip?
Yeah, so overland setups for people, everybody is different. There's no one size fits all solution that you've got to have to do this or any kind of trip. So for the other people, they were in single vehicles. One had a rooftop tent, the other one was in a pickup truck that had a camper topper on the back of it. For me, I have a Toyota 4Runner,
No,
but we have, it's me, my wife, my kid, and then we have two very very large dogs, so they take up the entire rear of this vehicle, so it basically leaves one seat for gear, and that
yep,
just does not work for a 4 week trip. So we decided a couple years back that we were going to basically make the transition over to a trailer, and it has made not only a world of difference, but it's made these trips possible. So we fit all of our gear, everything that we need for the duration goes in the trailer. It's got a tent on the roof. It's got a slide out kitchen. It's got a tent heater inside. It's got a hot water heater in it. It's got onboard water tanks. It's got everything we need to just get out there and be away from everything and everyone if needed for the long haul.
it's awesome. Now, did
Yeah.
you design and build this thing yourself, custom made, or is this like a thing that a company provides? I mean, it sounds like the perfect overlanding setup, so I wouldn't be surprised if someone sold it. But where does it fall on that spectrum?
Yeah, so we got this from one of my vendors, actually, Kingdom Camping, based out of Indiana, and it's essentially a camping gear trailer. They have two different kinds. They have one you can sleep on top of, which is the one we have, and they have the same basically same concept, but you sleep inside of it. We've got the one you sleep on top of, and I ordered it bare bones base and basically bolted all the other necessary components onto it myself. So like the tent, the awning, the refrigerator, the water, all the stuff I spoke about previously was stuff that I added to it after the fact. And that made it very, very affordable to get initially. And it also enabled it to be exactly what I needed it to be, what I wanted it to be for my particular needs.
So is that stuff you've learned just over the years? Like, I mean, I guess the couple trips that I've been on, I've found it as like a kind of like a show and tell scenario with people in their vehicles. It's like, I mean, some people have some incredible rigs, like probably spent a lot of money on it, just beautiful. Everyone has like a different setup. So I assume like what you did with your trailer is just stuff you've picked up over the years.
Yeah, so it's stuff that I've picked up over the years, but it's also an ever evolving system based on the particular needs of you, your family, and whatever trip that you're going on. Some trips require a lot more gear than others, but at the same time, and I'll talk about this a little more in a minute, but it should never be something that someone looks at a rig that has all kinds of manner of gear bolted to it and thinks, I need all that to get into overlanding, because
Mhm.
you don't. You just need a reliable four-wheel drive vehicle, a sense of adventure, and in a lot of cases, just a ground tent, a simple means of shelter, a means to keep your food cool, water, clothing, and a tent.
Mhm.
That's it. It's all you need to get started. And the rest of the stuff, it comes after you attend these events and you see, kind of like you said, the show and tell type experience where people see all the different rigs and what works and what doesn't and what they would do differently. And
Mhm.
so that's the part of the community aspect that we talked about earlier that I also love so much.
I think Jeff was pretty clear with that to me up right from the beginning. And still super basic. It's like I got my Jeep truck, I got the tent, and like that's it. I mean, but then there's other people that have just the rooftop tents, and just like there's some people that have like legitimate command centers with multiple screens posted on their dash, and
Yeah,
these cabs. And don't get me wrong, it's awesome, but it is a good reminder. It was a good reminder for me that I didn't necessarily need that stuff, and it made me feel comfortable. And again, the community is so welcoming. It's like it's really a non-issue. A guy like Kurt. Kurt went on the rally this weekend, right?
yeah, absolutely.
I look at and Kurt was awesome, great storyteller. But his vehicle, he's got this yellow. What is it? Yellow. Um,
FJ.
yeah, FJ. But like, dude, I see that thing and like all the patches he had inside. That thing tells a story. There's some like great stories to be told by everyone's vehicles. A lot of things to learn, and people, like I said, are super happy to show it off. So it's one of my favorite parts about the whole thing.
Absolutely, yeah. He's definitely got an attention getter for sure. I mean, that bright yellow FJ, you can't miss that wherever it goes.
Yeah, but yeah, it's. I'm like, what are you gonna do if you ever get rid of this thing? He's like, I'm never getting rid of it.
I don't think he will either.
But it's just great stories, and everyone's so different. There seems to be this like playful competition between like Toyotas and maybe Tacomas and then Jeeps. You're a Toyota guy, right? So there's definitely a lot of Jeeps out there. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So okay, other destination extreme trips. What else is coming up?
So for this year, I am actually leaving this Saturday morning to meet a crew of people in Quebec City, and we're heading off to Newfoundland again. This time we're going to do the Labrador Loop. We're going to go through the Labrador territory and then into the northern part of Newfoundland and explore over there. And we'll be back in a couple of weeks. So it'll be a much shorter trip than it was
Mm-hmm.
out west. But Newfoundland is a place that once you go once, it's stuck. You have to get back. So that's what brought us back here this year, and I can't wait.
How long is that one?
What's that?
How long is that trip from start to finish?
So it's going to be right around 2 weeks, like two
Yeah,
weeks and a day or so. Um,
awesome.
yeah, and it's going to be a lot of, the first couple of days are a lot of pavement miles just to get through Labrador and to the ferry. But once we get over there, we slow things way down and we just soak in the scenery and all the epic oceanfront campsites. And we saw a lot of like whales and things from our campsites last time we were there. And we're just really looking forward to getting back.
Do you really feel like you're alone out there? Is it pretty isolated or?
Depending on where you are, it's extremely isolated, but that's kind of part of the magic of it. That's part of the magic of overlanding, really, in general. Yeah, you do feel isolated, but it's a good isolated. It's a good reset from the craziness and stresses of everyday life to just get out there, disconnect, and just enjoy every minute of it.
No doubt. Dude, I went on the North Main Woods trip last year. and there's been like I didn't have my cell phone didn't work for 2 days. And the
Yeah.
number of days that my cell phone has not worked in the past like 20 years is basically those 2 days. So it was a little bit jarring, but very nice to just not feel like you have to check that and you know respond to messages and social media and all that stuff. So yeah, man, dude, I bet it's freaking incredible for a
Yeah,
more extended period of time.
absolutely.
Did you guys also do an Arctic Circle trip? Or like
We
maybe like the very edge of that? I don't know if it was like technically that. But
not
didn't you
the
go up
Arctic.
north earlier this year?
Yeah, not the Arctic Circle per se, but we did a trip earlier this year back in May up to the Trans-Taiga, which if
Yes.
you're not familiar with that, you got to look it up. The it's the single most remote road in all of the Americas, and by the end of it, you want to talk about remoteness and seclusion. You are so far removed from anyone and anywhere in any town that it's almost eerie how far remote you are. But
How
one
far
of the
are you? Like, what do you mean when you say like you're 500 miles from the closest town? Like, what is that even crazy to say? Like, what is that? What does that look like?
so it's an out and back. There's no loop at the end of that road. So you have to drive. You're driving hours and hours way out into the middle of nowhere. And the farther you go, the farther you are from town. And there's no loop or next town coming up. You've got to conserve fuel every ounce possible to be able to turn around and get back to the last fuel location just to make it back to pavement again.
Mhm.
And even pavement, it's just you're so far removed. But yeah, at the end of that road, I think you're 470 some odd miles from the closest, like, when I say town, I don't mean like, okay, there's a Walmart there. I mean like, okay, it's a little mining outpost and you've got a gas station, but yeah, you had to have a 400-mile minimum fuel range, which a
Yeah.
lot of vehicles don't, especially hauling the gear that we do. So you bring all the extra gas out there with you. You fill up your tanks at the end of it, then you turn around and do the best you can to make it back to the next gas station before you get back to pavement.
So what is everyone carrying? Like an extra 40 gallons of gas, just in
Well,
case?
it depends on the
Yeah.
situation. People were carrying 20 extra gallons at least. I carried 25 with me, and I know I used every bit of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the gas station is just this little outfitter in the middle of nowhere in the woods on the gravel road, and it's basically like an outpost stop, and they do meals and stuff in there. It was an amazing experience. But yeah, and gas isn't cheap when you're that far removed in the middle of nowhere either. So,
Is there a
but
town at the end of that road? Like, like natives live out there? Or I feel like Kurt was telling me some stories about some people that he saw along the way. I just don't know if it was earlier on that road or like towards the end.
Yeah, so on that road in particular, it's just like hydro basically support projects and things like that. So there's no town per se.
Yeah.
On the road that leads to it, you can go up, and the very end of that is a town called Radisson, and that's the last, town. But then if you were to turn from there and head west, you actually head over to the Hudson Bay, which is actually part of the flowage from the Arctic Ocean.
Yeah.
So, and that has Native American communities and things like that on it, that was another amazing experience, just hanging out with those people and learning everything about the area. They wanted to teach you everything that they could as well, which was
Yeah.
so cool. But it's just a
Well,
great trip.
so what's the point of that road? Is there like logging activity up there, or why does it
So the
even
whole
exist?
Yeah, the whole point of it was to support the Northern Canadian hydro project. So they've
Yeah.
got all this series of reservoirs and dams that all flow down to create hydroelectricity for the region, and a lot of it. And so that road was put in just so they could get material in and out to create those dams and reservoirs.
Mhm. Super cool. How about other trips south? Is there a trip down to Florida at some?
Uh, yeah, there's a trip to Florida. We've got a trip coming up in October, a little bit more local, but we're just going to New Hampshire and Vermont for the weekend. So that'll be a cool experience. And then this time of year, we always start to look to the future as well. So we've got a lot of stuff in my back pocket that I'm starting to put together to see what 2026 is going to look like. And
Mhm.
we usually start talking about that and releasing those trips towards the end of this year. So I'm really looking forward to doing that.
Yeah, which is honestly not that far away. I mean, we're talking two,
It's
three
not.
months if you follow that same schedule as last year. Do you? I don't want you to give anything away, but do you look to repeat some of the trips and add new ones, or is it just like a clean slate for?
So, as far as repeating, nothing. We may go to the same, like Newfoundland, for example. This is the second year in a row that we're going to it, but it's never a repeat. So it's a totally different experience each time. We're doing a different route. We're going to different camping locations. So, regions may repeat, but the trip is going to be totally new and unique every time.
Yeah. Yeah. So actually, with this trip coming up, are you going solo, or do you homeschool your son and he comes along for these couple of weeks? Like, it's different in the summertime when you have 4 weeks to travel, but like, are you going solo this time?
Yeah, no, my family and my two dogs, they go everywhere with me.
Nice.
Yeah, my son's homeschooled, so he gets to do a lot of that from the road, which is really cool experience for him as a kid growing up, getting to see and experience all these new places and things along the way.
No. So you go on all the Destination Extreme trips?
Yes, as of now. In the future, as things continue to grow, we might get other people involved in doing that, but that's my baby so far, and we'll see where it leads.
Was there talk of a New Zealand trip? I don't know if you even said that before. Like, what is that a thing that's on the table, or that's probably a little bit harder to get people to commit to? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so that's on the table. It was something that we released last fall.
Yeah.
Something that I'm crazy excited about, but it is, as you said, it's definitely a big commitment for anybody, let alone a family, to do, because it's another one of those. Okay, you got to take off at least 3 weeks to do it, and everything's all inclusive once you get there. But then there's a major airfare.
You're not
part of
doing
it
your
too,
own rig. Yeah. Yeah.
No, no, shipping a rig there would make the trip absolutely unobtainable for most any of us. So the way that the trip was designed is that you'll fly in. There's going to be a fully outfitted rig waiting there, ready to go, and then you spend 2 weeks exploring the southern island, and just an experience of a lifetime.
Have you been out there before?
No, not yet.
So, it truly would be like an experience of a lifetime. It looks beautiful out there. I mean, sounds like a great trip. Hopefully, it gets off the ground, and but and then there's so many places that you could go. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. It's endless. And that's part of the reason for doing this, is getting to see as much as I possibly can and bringing people along for the ride.
Do you get to do some of the more local trips? I mean, I know you mentioned like the New Hampshire, Vermont stuff, but like, do you do any of like the smaller scale things that are just like a Friday, Saturday? Or are you just focused on the big things at this point?
No. We do a little bit of everything. So in between those longer trips from away, I'm back home doing some of the smaller ones as well.
Mm-hmm.
The shoulder seasons, I'm doing a lot more. For example, in the winter time, that's one area that I do a little bit more solo. The family stays behind for that, but we do a lot of winter trips as well. Just because there's snow on the ground here in Maine doesn't mean we stop, because if you've never gone exploring overland style in the winter, it is an experience in and of itself, and a fun one, to say the least.
Totally. Yeah, totally. Okay. So I want to talk about the rally that you had over the weekend. So it was the SAC Overland Rally. Tell me about that. Am I pronouncing that right, or do you say SAC Overland Rally?
No, SAC Overland Rally, or SAC, or whatever you want to pronounce the acronym. So that was basically an evolutionary step from, we've had some small events with 5-6 rigs at the base before, and every time we do, and then we post the pictures afterwards, everyone's like, holy cow, I want to get in on that. And it's been much more than just a small group of people. So we typically do 1 or 2 larger rallies each year at different locations, and that time around we decided to do one at the air base. And in coordinating with the people that own that and just setting up the tours and everything, it was an awesome weekend. We had a little rain Friday into Saturday to start things off, but the weather turned beautiful afterwards, and the feedback was incredible, just regarding the location and the tours and everything that was going on there.
So the Air Force Base, this is Loring Air Force Base. Am I pronouncing that right?
Correct.
Where is that?
So that's here in northern Maine. It was constructed in the late 40s, early 50s, just because of its strategic location to Europe and Russia at the time.
Mm-hmm. So it's now, I don't want to say defunct, but like what is the status of this place? It's just like a relic of the past. Like there's nothing that actually happens here. Someone owns the land and they let you use it. Is the government involved in it at all?
Yeah, so the land is now divided up into a few different entities, but the base closed officially in 1994.
Mm-hmm.
Since then, everything has just kind of been frozen in time. So as long as you coordinate with all the right people, you can gain access, which we did for anyone who attended the trip, to all the facilities that were kind of abandoned and left there. So it was a nuclear facility. So at the time, it had the largest stockpile of nuclear weapons, not only in the country but anywhere on the planet. So
That's insane.
uh,
That's
yeah,
crazy
so
to hear you say that. I did not know that.
yeah, so we got to explore the bunkers where those were stored, the alert facility where those bombers stood on standby, the runway, the hangars, the control tower, all the support buildings, like all of that stuff is still there. It's unfortunately starting to get really run down because it's been what, 30 years at least, but yeah, it was a fantastic weekend.
Saw a great video of, I assume you and at least a handful of the other vehicles like going down the runway, in like a flying V formation and just like someone after it for another. So I'm sure you'll have some good social media videos to put up.
Yeah, absolutely. No, we had a lot of people taking pictures, and we took smaller groups at a time to do a tour of the base, and it kind of concluded with a run down a portion of the runway, and people loved it.
What makes this? What's the difference between a rally and just another weekend trip that you have? Like, what's special about this one?
Yeah, so this particular one, unlike a lot of, or the majority of our trips, this is a base camp weekend. So once you set up, you're there for the duration. You're not moving, spots every night.
Mhm.
And it's not like a expo either, where it's more, brands and vendor focused. We did have some awesome vendors that attended, and a food truck as well, or a couple of them. But this is more focused on the location, the community aspect, hanging out, having a good time, and getting to tour the awesome facility while we were there.
You, so is this going to be a staple of the schedule every year, or like obviously it's Labor Day weekend, so it's like Labor Day weekend, the SAC Overland Rally moving forward, or it just that could be different next year?
To be determined.
Yep.
I definitely have a lot of people that do want it to continue to happen every year. I will say that, as with anything we do, if it does continue, and when I do announce, an event for that particular weekend, it'll be, we're always learning, always improving. It'll be a greatly increased or improved version of that trip.
No. Okay. Good to know. All right. Winding down a few things. Just what's the advice that you would have for anyone that wants to get into overlanding? I feel like you kind of touched on it earlier, but I just want to give you a second to kind of like throw that out there one more time to anyone that's still listening. Advice for people thinking about getting into overlanding.
Yeah, the biggest thing for me is just do it. There's
Mhm.
no there's nothing holding you back as long as, and just repeating myself a little bit, but as long as you have a reliable and capable four-wheel drive vehicle and an adventurous attitude about things, you don't have to have everything figured out. Just get out there, meet some like-minded individuals, and do it. There's so much to see that is off the beaten path that we'd never get to see if it weren't for this. And it has brought so much, not only joy and happiness to my life and the lives of the people that come along these trips, but it's also, again, as I said earlier, just a great disconnect from the hustle and bustle and the stress of everyday life.
100%. How about the future of 207 Overland outside of the trips that we talked about and some of the destination extreme stuff? Like, what's the future for 207 Overland as a thing or a group?
Oh man, future has unlimited potential. We're going to continue, strategically growing, and we're going to continue offering better and better trips every single year. I've got some amazing people that work with me that help put on these trips and events, and they're getting, better and better at what they do, and the trips that they're coming up with are absolutely amazing. So things are just going to keep going up and up from here. And I hope with the increased interest in not only what we're doing, but the destination extreme trips as well, that more and more people get involved in this passion and turn it into a lifestyle for them.
Love it. What's the best way to find more information about the group or become part of the group?
Sure. So there's our website, 207overland.com. We're also on Facebook, facebook.com/207overland. But we do have a Facebook community group. If you just type in 207 Overland Community into Facebook, it'll pop right up. That's where a lot of our really awesome people call home. And it's just a wealth of information about not only the events and things that we have going on, but if you've got a question about, what vehicle to get or what gear is best or what works and doesn't work, just jump in and ask questions there. It's the best place to do it.
It's very active. There's definitely multiple posts.
Extremely.
There's pictures all the time. Like, but again, I feel like most of the groups that I'm a part of on Facebook, it's just like people crapping on each other and like just jumping down each other's throats for different things. Like it is like truly seems to be like a supportive group, and you can ask a stupid question or you can post about anything. And yeah, there's a ton of great conversation, people sharing advice, which is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's no stupid questions here, and we have some of the most supportive people on the planet.
Yeah.
It's going to be a
There's
great
also a
place.
there's also a page before I let you go, like is it like 207 Overland buy and trade or something like that? Like people can actually go to sell some stuff, or
Yeah,
am I
so
misunderstanding the way the groups work?
no. So there's another separate Facebook group, and it's the 207 Overland buy, sell, trade, swap,
Yeah,
et cetera, et cetera. So if you've got Overland related gear that you're looking for, or you're looking to trade or sell, that's the place to do it. And there's tons of stuff posted there.
yeah.
Some really great stuff.
I've poked around there a little bit too, so yeah, I think it's a great resource as well. So,
Definitely.
listen, man, I really appreciate you coming on. It's nice to talk. We have not met in person. Are you going to Jeff Green's Majestic Moosehead trip by any chance? Probably not. You'll be gone on your
Yeah.
Newfoundland, but that's the next trip I have. I think coming up in 2.5 weeks. So
No. Unfortunately, I won't be there. I'll be in Newfoundland, and I was trying for the beginning of the year to get Jeff to come with me to Newfoundland, but he was pumped about this trip. So, but that's cool. Hopefully, our paths will cross very soon.
absolutely, man. So we'll get the word out. So Justin, thank you again for coming on the podcast, man. We will be in touch.
Awesome. Sounds great.